Welcome back, Outlaws. On today's episode, we're going to be checking out a raised planter bed that we made out of upcycled materials, so stay tuned. We have a section of our yard that we call the boneyard, where we keep materials that we save for recycling or reuse. I had about 20 of these laying around, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them until I wanted to make a garden. As you can see here, these are cell phone antenna covers that go on the sides of buildings, and I thought what a better use than to turn these in to a raised planted garden. The purpose of making this video is to show that with a little creativity, you can take some things that you may have laying around and turn them into a planted area that you can grow food. With food shortages and drought being a common occurrence in this life cycle, I encourage everyone to start their own garden, no matter how small it is. I had some wood, some fence posts, and some hardware left over from a fencing job. And then I spent an additional $200 for the materials that I didn't have. I knew these covers would be perfect for a raised garden, especially at the height they are. I don't have to bend over when tending to the vegetables or pulling weeds. I started with the base below by making that a planter bed as well, so that when the top planter is watered, the water drains from the top planter and waters the planter below, so none of the water is wasted. In Southern California, we're constantly in a state of drought, so a well-designed watering system is a necessity. I was able to find all of my materials for my irrigation system at Home Depot in the irrigation and plumbing section. Here, we're giving it a quick test for coverage, and then we're ready to plant. Taking a little closer look, you could see that I have the mister pointing down towards the dirt instead of going up. This helps conserve water and put the water where it's needed at the base of the plants. I also added a valve so you can adjust the flow for each one of the mister heads. At the end, I had a little extra material and some bamboo stakes left over, so I made a trellis for the cucumbers to climb up. This video is showing the progression of 3 seasons of use of this raised planter bed. In this clip, I have not yet finished installing all the planters. In this first season, I was really happy with the way the plants were growing and the way that the watering system was working. It also made it a lot easier to care for the plants in the raised beds as I wasn't bending over, picking out bugs and weeds. We had also planted watermelon in the planter beds below, and the water that was dripping from the planters above was watering the watermelon, and they were healthy and growing good. We also tried corn in these small planters, and it grew good this first season, but the second season and the third season were better. Another important thing that we did was we spread mulch out in between the 2 planter beds. This helped keep the weeds down, and it also helped keep the soil from drying out. In here, you could see that this corn was planted too closely together. We found the right combination, and we found that 3 plants per planter is perfect. In this clip, you could see that I finally completed installing all the planters. The next job was to fill these up with soil. We do compost everything here, but I did have to go and pick up some potting soil to amend what I did have. We're still experimenting with water requirements and soil makeup to find the best combination so that these vegetables will be happy. With the addition of this garden, and the fruit trees that we already have growing on the property. This helps offset our food costs monthly. And not to mention that it's a great feeling knowing that you're feeding your family and that you can share with your neighbors and friends as well. If anyone has any questions, please put them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. We don't use any pesticides, so whenever I open an ear of corn up, I'm always expecting to find a worm, but we got lucky on this one. There are times when the insects get out of control and you have no choice but to use something, so I use neem oil. This stuff works pretty good, and it's meant for organic gardening. Diatomaceous earth is another good option for those not wanting to use insecticides. We'll do a quick flyby with the drone so you can check out and see what we're growing in the garden this season. I still feel that tomatoes do better growing in the ground, but we're trying them in this container to see how they do. This year's garden is Tucker approved. There's not a single thing growing here that he won't eat. Every season, we have a problem with rodents in the garden at a certain time. This year, we haven't had any. I wonder why. Now the goal is to find the right combinations of plants that will grow in these containers together and do it efficiently year-round. One of the other things that I look for are vegetables that I can use the seeds from to grow again the next season. Green beans are great, the cilantro works great, and there's a few others that turned out to be pretty good in using the seed for the next season. All of the peppers and the onions in this garden for this season were grown from seed from the previous generations that were grown in the garden. Curing, storing, and reusing your own seeds is a good skill to know. It's also fun to trade seeds with others, as they may have seeds of plants that you haven't tried to grow yet. These are banana peppers, and they were turned in to the evening's dinner. I ended up cutting the tops off, scooping all the seeds up for next season, and then making a mixture of rice, corn, cheese, and a little beef, and putting them in the smoker. They turned out great. as we make additions and changes to the garden. I'll try to document that and share it in a video. Each day in the garden offers something new. A new blossom, a new vegetable that's just ripened, or a new interesting insect that you haven't seen before. I hope watching this video inspires somebody to go out and start their own garden. Now it's time to pick some corn for the 4th of July barbecue. Thanks for watching, and check back for some more updates on the garden.